It feels like nowadays that a lot of companies are focusing heavily on performance driven. And I understand in the economy that we live in right now, productivity, performance, cost reduction, these are things that are keeping businesses afloat. And I understand that if businesses want to keep everybody employed or other people employed, this is what they have to do. But it feels like a lot of leaders now are only focusing on the number and have nothing to do with how they get the number. And so it begs the question, are people leading for the right reasons? And at the end of the day, are the people that are doing the jobs for the right reasons? Or are they just trying to make that goal, whether it's revenue, whether it's margin, whether it's profit, whatever the case may be. And 25 years ago when I started getting into leadership, it was in a retail electronics store. And that was what I was taught. They only focused in on sales. And so I remember sitting there with my boss and he's talking to me about the things that were driving performance. And the focus that he had was profit, margin. That's it. That's all we did. And although the company I worked for wasn't commission based, we only gave people hours based on how good they were selling. And when people start saying, well, you're a non-commission environment, in fact, that was our lead-in when we were talking with customers. Hey, we're non-commission. And it makes people feel better because they don't think you're pressured. But when the employees are actually pressured by getting more hours next week based off of sales, you tend to start to see a lot of unhealthy competition out there. People focusing on the wrong things. And it wasn't until I got a new boss that he really talked to me about what it was that I was trying to achieve and how I was doing it. And I remember he took me aside and he's like, hey Matt, come walk with me. And we went outside and I remember him smoking a cigarette and he's like, hey, do you smoke? And I was like, well, yeah, I smoke. And I didn't smoke at the time. So, and this person ended up being my mentor. And so he had good habits and he had bad habits. He was a great mentor, don't mind me. But he talked to me about what it was that got me the results. And he said, how? He kept asking, how are you doing it? How are you doing it? And I thought it was only about selling really high priced items. But that's not what he was trying to get at. He was talking about what was my coaching method? What were some of the things I was working with my employees to get the results that I wanted? Because if you don't talk to them about how they're getting the results and they don't know how to get those results, they're never going to do it. Or they might go at it on an unethical manner. This type of change in perspective really did alter my career dramatically. I remember thinking about how much it allowed me to build better relationships with the people around me. And my job was no longer to reach a specific goal, it was to make people better. And I found that when you focus on making those around you better, it ends up benefiting not only yourself, but the team as a whole. And I think that a lot of leaders lose sight of that because reaching a specific goal, whether that be handle time, whether that be revenue, whatever the case may be, you can do that. You can do that probably pretty quickly, but it probably isn't going to be sustained because you're probably not using methods that benefit those around you. And I will say that this type of mentality, at least from my own perspective, has been tough because I don't find too many people that feel this way. And it's a lot harder to talk to senior leaders in this capacity because a lot of times they are focusing in on profit and loss statements, things of that nature. And so it makes sense to a point, but when it comes to communicating to those that are directly responsible to facing those goals, you can't just focus in on the number. You've got to be able to look at how does this not only benefit my people, but how does it benefit maybe my customers? How does it benefit the company? You've got to be able to ask those questions because once you start looking into those areas, that's when you can really start to see great success. I will say that this sort of mentality does sometimes leave me feeling a little bit isolated. I tend to find some people that think in this capacity, but it's tough because there are so many people around that don't feel this way, or maybe that they don't feel they have the time to work in this type of capacity because of the pressure that's being put on them. And so when I do find individuals like this, I really try to feed off of them as much as possible, because it is an amazing group when you can get several people that focus in on making the people around them better. And I've learned so much from these individuals, people that I've even trained and seen them grown into new roles, carrying on that same type of mentality. It's phenomenal. I work with one of my best friends that he used to work for me, and now we're peers, and he does such a phenomenal job with his individuals. And he struggles a lot as well with some of the focuses around numbers and only achieving results. And it is a tough thing to do. And we've talked on several occasions just about how we can overcome these things. And that's what I think is tough, is that in this type of environment, you do have to kind of focus in on both. I want to lay some good foundation with my people so that they can achieve great results, but I do still have to focus in on those results. And I do my best to put forth good effort when it comes to being action-oriented, but there's a lot of times where the people around me, they just want to see the results and they want to see them now. And it is also tough when those goals are set with no consideration as to the why behind it or the how. I've been put into positions where we want to see a reduction in something, whether it be cost, whether it be overhead, but there's no direction as to how it's being done. And I'm fine with coming up with those hows, but that's the thing, is that those types of situations take time. It's not something that you can just off the cuff say, this is what I'm going to do in order to achieve it. And so when you're trying to understand the business and say, I'm going to try to do these things, I'm going to put this into place, I'm going to see if this has an impact, a lot of times that's where it takes the time. You've got to be able to test out these certain situations to say, this is working for me, I'm seeing a cost reduction, let's continue to work in that capacity, let's try something new. It's hard when tomorrow you have to be achieving it. And when the pressure becomes too great on individuals, especially leaders, they tend to make knee-jerk reactions, which can have an adverse effect on the people around them. I've seen a lot of attrition through a lot of companies because of this. People get burnt out because the company feels that you can do it now, this hard, this fast, so they want to see it every single day. And whereas I can push myself pretty fast, it doesn't mean I can do that every single day. I can see myself going through meeting after meeting after meeting, and after 4 to 5 hours of meetings, I am drained. Now, I could do that for several weeks, but it wouldn't be sustainable. And the same thing that happens with others around. They could do their job probably pretty fast, but in the long run, it's not going to benefit anybody. It's funny, at the end of the day, I ultimately want the same things as most of the companies I've worked for. I want to be able to see them be profitable. I want to see the business thrive. I just want to see it done in a certain way that makes people happy, that makes people enjoy their jobs. And I think you can achieve strong results with people pushing themselves, but not having to hold their feet to the fire every single day. I think there has to be a balance. And when I think about like work-life balance, I'm not talking about your work and your personal life, but I'm actually talking about work life. Like, what does that balance look like? My people know that there's going to be times that they're going to need to push themselves. We get super busy, and I need you to really just jump in, feet first, ready to go. But then there's going to be times where, you know what, it's kind of a chill day. You want to relax a little bit, you want to take it easy, work's still getting done, perfectly understandable. Let's do that. And there can be a good mix of that. And you have to be able to take advantage of those situations, because your people see that you care about that. Your people will notice that those are the things that are important to you, and you care about their own well-being. And again, the focus that I've had in my career has netted me really strong results, not only from a performance standpoint, but from a relationship standpoint as well. I am proof positive that you can do things right and still achieve strong results. Most of the time better than other results. Most of the time longer than people that are really pushing their teams too fast, too hard all day long. And so at the end of the day, I think I just want to make sure that leaders are looking at the right things to their teams. I understand cost is important. I understand businesses are somewhat hurting in this economy, but that doesn't mean that you can't still go at it the right way and for the right reasons. And so I ask all the leaders out there to really do me a favor and take a look at what it is that you're doing with your teams right now and what you can do to make them better, because I guarantee you, when you focus in on making your people better, making your teams better, that you will also see the benefits of it. Your company will see the benefits as well. And it may take a little bit of time, and that's okay. But I guarantee you, it'll be well worth the wait. Remember, elevating yourself to the next level, it starts with a single step. Take your step today. We'll see you next time.